Everybody's got a price for the $1 Million Man.
Who's that kid? Nick. He looks like Beaker from Muppets.
The one on FS1, Nick Wright. Yep.
Yeah. I got something.
That's
for
amazing.
him.
I did not even. I love that.
If I get 5 women and they're all in the same room with me, we're going at it at 110%.
Welcome in, everybody. Lazy Booking Podcast here on A2D Radio. Gotta love that intro. Every time I see it, it just brings me happiness, especially that last clip there, Andy.
It's the best. That clip takes me back to a time where we just started getting on a StreamYard, and we seemed to be interviewing a ton of people every other week. But that one was the very first one, and it was so terrifying. But that moment right there, the going at it at 110% was what set everything in motion for the rest of our interviews.
I mean, listen, still one of the most iconic moments on A2D Radio, period, let alone
Agreed.
Lazy Booking. Welcome in again, everybody, whether you're watching us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter X. We appreciate you joining us for another episode this week. I am your host, Chrome, with my co-host over here, Eric Archer.
Here.
What's up, buddy?
He'll get it right
evening,
eventually.
everybody.
I never get it right.
And good evening to everybody. Hope everybody's having a good week so far. And let's talk a bit of wrestling,
Let's
shall
talk
we?
Let's talk some wrestling. And right down here, we have A2D legend himself, host of In This Very Ring.
Your boy is back.
Rich, welcome back, buddy. It's good to have you back on here talking some wrestling.
Someone's getting yelled at tonight. Someone's getting called stupid.
All right. Well, we love that. Let's go.
I've been called worse. So
That's true. And that was just today.
yeah, it was an hour ago.
We are brought to you by our doctor, Dr. Paul Vidal at Specialized Physical Therapy in Burlington and Cherry Hill, New Jersey, where you can find the physical locations, or you can find them at that website below on the web at specializedphysicaltherapy.com. Any aches, pains, long-lasting, or new physical ailments that are coming on, hit up the doctor's award-winning team. They'll set you on track, get you on a program to get you back feeling your best. And with that, we have our opening topic here, boys. Big week in WWE coming up, starting really tonight, which we're going to touch on that later on with NXT versus TNA. What is it?
Showdown.
All right, it's been.
Don't dare call it an I word.
It was Invasion. Then they teased it was going to be a Showcase, and now it's Showdown. Anyway, I'm actually very excited for this event for both companies, but that's a really big deal. But first and foremost, the most important topic is we have to talk about this upcoming weekend's PLE, WWE Crown Jewel at Perth, Australia. And, excuse me, I think the one match that we've really been following closely and how the build was going to go is the Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes match. And I felt like we had to open up with this topic, and especially having Andy on, having somebody, a different voice on here. I want to open up the conversation. So, and we want to open up to everybody out there in our comment section. So whether you're on Facebook, X, Twitter, YouTube, wherever you're at, please come in. We already got a couple comments chiming in here. Got Raska saying, what's up? Oh,
Thanks for sharing, Ernie.
Somebody's reposted our stream. Love that.
Thanks.
Raska,
You all right?
Bove. Appreciate you guys jumping in here. Okay. Let's kick it off. Eric, we'll start there and we'll work our way around. Seth Rollins has to defeat Cody Rhodes in the Crown Jewel Championship, champion versus champion match this Saturday.
Yeah, so I agree. And I think the story is kind of playing out that way, considering what happened last night on Raw. Seth Rollins talking to Paul in the back and saying, I need to win. What happens if I lose? And kind of just the things that could happen in the event that he loses, and Paul bringing up, I'd have to question if I chose the right guy, whether you or Roman. So I think it's clearly, it might be a little too predictable that Seth is going to win, but I think it's more of a matter of how he's going to win, more of the actual match result. But I think Seth has to win like we talked about last week, it's a perfect way to solidify the World Heavyweight Championship and put it a little closer to the WWE Championship and kind of give bragging rights to the world champion for beating the current WWE champion. But I agree. Seth should and probably will win on Saturday based on what kind of has been going on in the story.
Andy?
The amount of ways I just want to disagree to this thing. And the only reason Seth would win is if they're just going to keep flip-flopping every year. If it's the world title that wins, or is it the universal title, or whatever the hell we're calling the other damn thing, right? That's the only reason why Seth wins. I think that this Seth Rollins, Paul Heyman, the Vision storyline is a flop. I think that it has not gone the route they have wanted it to. It's more interesting when I see Paul Heyman with Bronson Reed and Bron Breakker. Never thought I'd say that out loud. Than it is when I see Paul Heyman with Seth Rollins. And they've been weaving this web of how no one's really listening to Paul. You saw that last night with Bronson Reed running down and getting in Roman's face. You heard that in the promo with Seth. You saw it last Friday night. Paul's telling Seth, don't go, don't do it. He eats a crossroads for his troubles, right? So no one's listening to Paul. Everybody's kind of going off and doing their own thing. And I think that will ultimately be the downfall of Seth Rollins on Saturday in Perth, is that he won't listen to Paul. He's going to go in there and he's going to end up beating. And so now getting beat, the more interesting story coming out of that is, does Paul Heyman stick around with Seth? Is the vision still clear? Or do we have to shift gears? Because if you ever noticed, Paul Heyman has had control over Brock Lesnar, over Roman Reigns, over his guys. He's been the one moving the pieces around. Now, in this scenario, Seth is moving the pieces. Paul's just kind of there along for the ride. And clearly, Seth, your vision never gained you that what's the word I'm looking for here? You were never the face of the company under your vision. Now we're going to follow my vision. We're going to be more strategic, and we're going to start taking people out of the equation. And then you're really going to be able to truly dominate. I think Seth has to lose here in order for him to go further and be propelled higher.
Yeah, I'm going to disagree with Andy, and I'm going to agree to the poll here as well. And the reason being, listen, I think Eric touched on it in terms of they have really emphasized this title being a secondary title. Like, they've acknowledged it more often than they normally would in this storyline. And I think that that's really important and key in this story. I disagree that the vision has been a failure, because I think Seth is about as hot as compelling as a character as they've had. And on the other side, you've developed two guys already. And they're just scratching the surface. I mean, it really is almost like a modern day evolution in terms of how they've tapped into the young guys and stuck them with a very, very capable, a very notable guy in the professional wrestling industry, one of the modern day top guys that they can learn from and also work off of. And eventually, to what you're saying, Andy, I don't think we're there yet. The turn comes, and Paul will inevitably end up aligning himself with the young guys. He always does. But I don't think we're there yet. I also believe that this group stays together to get us to Survivor Series for when I think it's inevitable John Cena and Best Pals end up going up against the Vision and probably Brock Lesnar. So yeah, I think the other part of this is the history. They've again gone through the history of these two guys.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think this is a history that they want to put in a position where it becomes almost irrelevant going forward, because I do believe that these two guys will continue to be adversaries as the years go by. They'll go their own ways. They'll come back together. Go their own ways, come back together. And I do believe in yet another massive match where it's been made evident that he is the secondary heavyweight champion. To take a loss in this match would be worse for him than any of the other three that they've had. So I actually think that he does win this match. But I do agree with Andy in that the turn is inevitable. And I do think Paul does align, obviously, with Bronson Reed, who's, to me, is the superstar of all of this.
Mm-hmm.
And I love Breaker, too. But, I mean, Bronson Reed and his character development, again, doesn't happen if you don't have this group. They've had Bronson Reed. He was a monster where he was squashing Jacob Fatu and he was squashing everybody. And it wasn't until this group came along. And I don't think they're ready to quite stop the development of that within the group yet.
So in the aspect of the development of Bron, Breaker, and Bronson Reed, I think it's been wonderful, right? Don't get me wrong. I think the individual parts, when you break down the different inner workings and the inner relationships of the Vision, I think have worked really, really well. And then when you look at Seth by himself has worked really, really well. It was the greatest work shoot. It was the greatest heist, bullshit, whatever you want to call it, back oh my God, back when he won the title, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then you add all these other components to him, and it doesn't work. Like Evolution worked because, and again, this is personal opinion, right? Evolution worked because all four guys, you could intertwine them and they could work together and work well together and bounce off of each other. It's very, at least again, from my perspective looking in, when all four are in the ring, right? Seth's leading the charge. Paul's got to worry about keeping Bron Breaker from going off script, which is the best, by the way. It's fantastic that they play it off as in he's almost like, screw what we had planned. This is what we're going to do. It's almost believable.
It's very Big Papa Pump, right? Like I think they've taken elements from his character and put it into his nephew, right? To make
I think from both of them, from both his father and his right. But I think with this, you're just not hitting when they're all together anymore. Like those first couple weeks, it was interesting when they were all together because it was Seth just kind of sending his hounds, out there to do his dirty work. But now they all have their own little agendas and different pieces like that, and it's not working as a coherent group. Do I think they need to stay together for Survivor Series? They have to. You have nobody else, right, that you can put in that position to go up against the names that we're talking about when it comes to the men's Survivor Series match. But I think as a whole, it's just not gelling for me.
Yeah, I would say too, like I agree with some of Andy's points where kind of like what you were saying, Chrome, where eventually I think the end game is Bronson and Bron go off, or they stay with the group and eliminate Seth and bring somebody else on or whatnot. But I really think that, looking at the way they're telling this story, right? The video packages last night really told the story of these guys were they were rivals, and then they came together for a common cause to take down the bloodline, and using that as a catapult to, hey, you aligned yourself back with Roman, and you basically took what we did and destroyed it, and you let him back in. So I think the way the story is being told is that Seth has been wronged, and he's been wronged in losing 3 matches to Cody Rhodes. So I think it's just I just feel the writing's on the wall in this match, where Seth Rollins absolutely needs to win this match. He loses another match to Cody Rhodes, I think he loses all credibility, and it loses credibility for the world title. So I
was about to just real quick to add on to what you're saying. And it is the status of the world title, I agree with. But it's not even just that. it's Seth alone that needs to win this match because he is considered one of the greatest of his time, of his era. But to constantly lose out to some of the biggest names and to never, to me, this is not an Io and Rhea, right? To where Rhea has never defeated Io. I just think the way that story has been told has been completely different. And the level that Seth is on and Cody is on in terms of both combatants makes it a whole higher stake. And I know at the end of the day, wins and losses are predetermined, but in story context, at some point, to validate everything you've done to build Seth Rollins over all of these years, when CM Punk left, when Cody left, and he was there with Roman carrying the ball when Cena left, he has to get a big win against the big fish in the pond right now.
And I don't disagree to that, right? I think, when you write a story, when you whether it's this or anything, any superhero movie we've ever watched or anything like that, you have the bad guy. The bad guy is going to have his moment where he's going to take down the good guy. And it's going to allow for the good guy to have this, Phoenix-like moment rising up from the ashes. It's almost flip reverse here, though. The good guy has beaten down the bad guy countless times, where now the bad guy is rising from the ashes in this Phoenix-like moment. And this is where he kind of shifts the gears and shifts the narrative. I don't disagree with that, right? And then one of the other things that you said was, Jesus. You said a lot of good points. I'm not going to lie to you on that, but I don't want to I'm trying to do better of not interrupting when I'm on here, because the brain will say speak and then I don't. Because you're on a roll and I respect that, right? But I think for Seth and Cody, it was no different than what we saw recently with Bronson Reed, Braun Breaker, and the Usos, right? Or even with Io and Rhea. Something has to give, right? And you have to have Seth take this here. I don't agree with it, but I see from a story perspective, I take my personal feelings and everything like that out of it, and I look at it as if I'm writing this as a book, right? What would I want? Or what would I want to do? What would make sense for the story? I think you have Seth go here because of everything you both have been laying out. The title here's what I was going to say. The titles are so secondary to everything else going on both shows right now, right? That I don't know if making the world heavyweight title feel elevated is something that we're going to get out of this. I think this is making Seth be elevated over Cody, if nothing else, right? I think the title versus title, I think, at least for this match, right? When you get to the women, I think it's a little bit more prevalent. But in this moment, with the history that these guys have, and how so much of their history has never been for the title, it's never really circulating around the title. I think you have it's all about personal gain here. Personal gain. What does Seth gain? What does Cody gain? What does Seth lose? What does Cody lose?
I want you to jump in after just 2 quick points to what you said there. I think that 2 things can be accomplished. To what you're saying, you're right. It may not happen. I think if one or the other happens, Seth is going to gain out of this personally. Mm-hmm. However, I do think they have made it a point in how they have structured the story and talked about the secondary title being the world heavyweight title, that I do think that there is an intention to try to elevate that title. On the other side of it, real quick, I also look at who can take a loss here. Cody Rhodes is not affected by this whatsoever. If there's a time where you want him to not be Super Cody and lose a match and not fall into the John Cena, Super Cena, threshold, it's in a match where he can't lose his title. He won this last year, so he's already won it. It's an opportunity to elevate the other superstar, elevate the other title without diminishing Cody or the title that he wears around his waist. Eric, I'll let you jump in.
So piggybacking off of Cody taking a loss, I really think that Cody's going to have this match won, and something's going to happen. I think, whether it's a ref
There'll
bump
be some
or
kind of a
I mean, it's pretty.
somewhere.
I think it's pretty clear that if Seth is to win this match, I don't think it's going to be done clean, and I think that's also a way to catapult the story into Survivor Series. So you'll see, I'm sure you'll see Bron and Bronson, and then maybe as a result of whatever happens with the Roman match, you could see more interference there. So I think those ingredients are all there, where you could see like a big, brawl at the end, or even into, the upcoming story.
Eric, we talked over the last couple weeks, right? John Cena versus AJ Styles. We're going to get into that match in a few minutes. But what if we get an ending? You're talking about setting Survivor Series up, where they come out, he interferes in the AJ Styles match with John Cena. Or not interferes. Let's just say he comes out after the fact, because we want a clean finish in this one, right? So he comes out, they go to do their respect handshake. He comes out, takes them both out. That locks
Hold on.
Brock Lesnar.
Got it. Thank you.
That locks Brock in, or that locks AJ in now, because it gives him incentive to want to get revenge. Then in the main event, Brock comes out again, somehow costs Cody. That kind of solidifies his inclusion with the Vision in that build to Survivor Series.
Yeah.
And then that's where now you have Cody. So then it just becomes who is the fourth or potentially fifth member, depending on how big they make the teams. Is it CM Punk? I would think it would be Punk over Randy Orton. Maybe you get Punk, and that's your team of four.
Legitimate question. Two legitimate questions here. Do we really think that Brock's going to be involved in War Games? Number one.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I still don't know how I feel about that. Number two, if nothing else, I could see Brock coming down in the main event. And it's really not a question, it's a statement. Brock doesn't touch the John AJ match. I think that match doesn't get touched by anybody, because to Chrome's point, you want a clean finish. Because the build has just been stuff on Twitter, and then AJ Styles saying, I'm going to beat up John Cena. Are you okay over there, my dude?
My allergies are so bad right now.
Jesus Christ.
Sorry.
But anyway, holy hell. I think you see Brock come out during the main event, if nothing else. And I think he helps sets up that schmaz finish. And then that's where John runs down, because John still wants his revenge for the ass kicking that he was handed at WrestlePalooza. So John runs down, fights Lesnar off, and that's where we lead him to maybe Seth capitalizing on Cody being down. I think you keep Brock away from the AJ John match.
I also think too the pivot, or the Brock to Cody, because Cody has already asked about Brock Lesnar in his promos. That promo a few weeks ago where he said, hey, I want to talk about Brock Lesnar. So it's like, all right, you want to talk about him? Here he is. And he's going to come get his pound of flesh. But I think all that could definitely happen.
The foundation is there for Brock to come out and take out Cody, more so than just Cody asking about Brock. And I don't know if you guys touched on it. I was traveling. I didn't even really watch WrestlePalooza because, again, I was in Disney. But did we talk about Paul doing the announcement for Brock at WrestlePalooza? Chrome, you're muted, buddy.
We brought up how now he's back with, and that's why we think that those four will team up, because if you're going to do a team of 4 or even 5, who else would be on that side?
No, I just want to make sure that was something that was has been touched on and talked about. And
definitely,
I think that's how you get Brock a part of it, and you start laying that groundwork, because Survivor Series is
still like 5 or 6 weeks away. There's still a
wait
ton
a
of
minute.
time between. So there is a Saturday night's main event at the end of October, but Survivor Series is not until after Thanksgiving.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, so
and we talked. Yeah, we alluded to that, and I think
they have. Okay. So no, I'm going through the calendar here, and the way that they have it set up, when I clicked on Saturday night's main event, it shows the poster for John's last match, and I thought, oh, wait a minute, is this before War Games? I am mistaken.
Yeah, there's a Saturday night. It's in Salt Lake City, I think, in at the end of October.
Yeah.
But
There's just the way this was set up.
Yeah, it seems like they're forgetting about that and talking about like all the talks on that last match already. Anyway.
Well, and but I don't think you're going to see anything at Saturday night's main at the one at the end of October. I think that's just to do it and move on. I think it's going to help lay the groundwork, if nothing else, for Survivor Series. And you're going to see bits and pieces of that here, because from now, all right. So Saturday is the 11th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You have 7 weeks from Saturday is Survivor Series.
Yeah.
Right? But you have the Saturday night's main event 2 weeks from Saturday. So you can lay the foundation. You go 2 weeks to Saturday night's main event, you really start to see things form, and then you have 4 weeks to properly build everything else out. You'll lay the groundwork between now and Saturday night's main event, and then you'll spend 4 weeks building it, because you're going to have the back and forth and who has the advantage match and all this other crap that we normally get with a Survivor Series.
Yeah. Did they do 4 or 5? I know we talked. Was that 5 the last few years? Has been 5, right?
Last year was 4, I think.
Was it 4?
Stand by.
You're right.
No, it was 5. It was 5. I'm lying. It was 5.
Was it 5? Yeah.
Because they had
Sami Zayn, the Usos, and Punk and Roman.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was so. My thought process is, if Brock's your 4th, if the rumors are true about who the last opponent is, could Gunther be your 5th? And then you have Division, Brock, and Gunther versus the Cena's team. And that kind of sets up Saturday night's main event for the last. If that's the direction they're going to go, which sounds like that's kind of where it's going, but a lot can change between now and December, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's hard, because now you got me racking my brain on who could a 5th be on the Vision side. I guess Gunther's a name that makes sense.
I don't like the Cena Gunther as the last match. I don't know why.
The only way I would like that, and I talked about it in our chat, Chrome, the only way that I would like that is if John Cena's last match is just an open challenge. Like, hey, anybody wants to come out and face me, kind of just end it with an open challenge like he's done throughout his career.
I'd be fine with that.
And have honestly, no build whatsoever, and don't even bring Gunther back until that moment. You bring Gunther back cold. You just bring him back as a mystery opponent. And then I even think you might have Gunther squash him just to beat him, and then that's it. I've changed my whole direction on this thing. I talked about this for weeks. How I was every week Cena can't lose, and here I am turning it around and thinking, like, see, that's what's so great about wrestling, man. You can change your mind at a drop of a hat. And
I think it depends, right? I think if we get Brock at the end of this, the storyline has to go Cena going over, right? If the ultimate end game is we get back to John Cena getting his comeuppance on Brock to close it out, then that's fine too. If we're going the Gunther route, and honestly, I think it's whether he wins or loses. I think he could come back, have a phenomenal match with John, and end up making that an iconic win or lose match for himself. I talk about this every week. Everybody probably at nauseum. The VHS classics, right? This is putting it on his greatest hits, his super tape. I don't know if
at the end of the sentence.
I know, yeah. Didn't know if
I legit. You said this is his super tape. I was waiting for another the sentence.
John Cena's greatest. I was too. John Cena's greatest hits.
I'm like, all right, you're on a roll, Chrome. Keep going. I look up.
Video.
Everybody's fucking staring at me.
Huh? No,
I'm not. I'm sorry. I don't mean to cut you off. I mean,
no, you're good.
Shut up. I don't really like the Gunther John because it's his last match. There's really no history between them. They're if you're not bringing Gunther back at Survivor Series to set something up there, I don't know, man. Like I feel like it for John's last match. You're putting a bow on 25 years of wrestling, and it's not like this is his last match, and in 4 years we're going to see him again jumping in the ring. No, he's been pretty stern on I'm done. It's over. I don't have any more in the tank after this. So what puts a nice, pretty bow on that? And I know that will be a discussion for another episode because there's more we have to get here. But I'm gonna say it. I don't like the Gunther thing. I heard about it yesterday. I groaned when I heard about it. Not that Gunther's bad. I just don't think that fits for John.
Yeah. We've been talking about that the last few weeks, where the thinking of the WrestlePalooza match with Lesnar, the way that all went down was kind of like, all right, what's next? Is he going to get another chance at Brock, or is this it? And then kind of just looking at when the dates are, how many more appearances he has versus, is he going to get another shot at it? Is that the plan? And
you also got to have somebody that has can do the build for this match without John being there.
Right.
He's got
That's right.
Like 3 appearances left.
There's
and that's why I think that Brock makes sense, because everything is already laid out. The history is already there. Then on top of it, you're going to lay more groundwork between now and Survivor Series. And honestly, I think Cena's team loses in Survivor Series. Cena gets destroyed in that, and that's how you keep him storyline-wise off of TV up until you get closer to those last couple events.
And you get the Vision a win, and they're built stronger. And also keep in mind, Cena after Survivor Series has no more appearances until that last match. So whoever it is, to your point, Ed, you're absolutely right. It's got to be somebody that can carry that story into that by himself.
Which is no disrespect to Gunther either on that. I think he could.
He could.
But I just don't think it would satisfy anybody.
Well, again, I mean, that's where I think Eric's proposition does make sense in terms of if you want to give Cena his comeuppance against Brock and he gets the win over Brock, say, in War Games, then you really can do an open challenge. We don't need anything too cute or too tricky going into it. Honestly, I will say this. In terms of what Eric suggested, I don't hate it because John Cena's last match is the storyline. It doesn't matter who he goes against. The storyline is there. It doesn't need to be he needs to come up against Brock. He can get that beforehand. There's 2 other events he's doing. So to Eric's point, I don't hate that. And then again, you do get an opportunity to bring a guy like a Gunther in and still, because we've really gotten a lot of the John Cena's greatest hits, which is fine. I'm cool with that. It's actually been pretty fun. But I would like to see one more young talent. Hopefully maybe Dom is mixed in somewhere in between. Maybe it's Dom. Maybe Dom is.
That was the rumor for a long time until this sparked, is that it was Dominic Mysterio, and they were going to let Dominic come out, after it's all said and done and be like, I'm the guy that retired John Cena.
Who better to do that with than he would just take my dad out, and then I took John Cena out.
He's the new legend killer.
Yeah, yeah, there you go. I do think we'll see that match. I think Boston and MSG, those are 2 options. Yeah, that if it's not going to be the last match, I'd love to see that too. I think that'd be great. And then you have Finn back there, like, yeah, let's see if you can beat John by yourself. And then they like ditch him, and that like his little shit-eating grin.
Okay, so let's circle back. I agree with you. Let's circle back here. So real quick, let's touch on that first. So Seth and Cody predictions. Who are we picking here? I'm picking Seth.
Seth, but not clean.
I'm still going to pick Cody just to be different.
Okay.
Sure. All right. We've kind of touched on the whole AJ thing. Now, before the AJ Cena match we know is coming up, it's kind of played out the way we thought it would, Eric, and it's been beautiful the way that it has, in that this and I love that AJ said it on the broadcast last night.
He's been listening to Lazy Booking, Chrome. I'm telling you, he said it verbatim what we said last week.
We have said it for 2 or 3 weeks in a row. When this was originally tweeted by Cena before it was official, it was originally said, hey, these guys need to go at it. We don't need a story. This was one of those we talked about, like John Cena's last match. You don't need a story, the history and the video packages. And it's exactly what they've done. And I loved that AJ came out last night and said that specifically. This doesn't need a story. This is just going to be a great wrestling match. Boom. Sold. Done. Everybody's into it. And by the way, loved him, Penta, and Dragon Lee doing the Penta walk too last night.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
That was great.
Unintended. But how do we feel about, I mean, we thought this would be the way, but I want to know, like, real quick thoughts on how it's been done and who do you think is going to win this match?
I think spot on with your analysis of the story and how it's kind of just written itself, and where they've used the video packages, bringing up, last night they brought up the history of the matches, and I even forgot the Royal Rumble. I forgot he beat AJ for his 16th. So I
forgot about that too, actually.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that. So pretty cool to see have that brought up to where there's a ton of history there. So I think like we were saying last week too, this could be one of AJ's final matches. So, I think kind of shooting last night, saying like, we're gonna leave it all out there. Like it's gonna kick ass. And I think they're both gonna tear the house down in Australia. So but I do think Cena's gonna win this match, just because AJ hasn't been winning a lot of matches anyway, so it's probably it's I don't think it's going to hurt AJ. I don't think it helps him to win either. It's kind of but I think Cena needs it to what we were talking about. I think he needs that to stay, get a win back, especially after what happened at WrestlePalooza, and then go into Survivor Series.
Is it wrong of me to say, and I mean this in the nicest ways possible, I don't care who wins or loses this damn match, because
not at all.
it's like I'm waking up for this damn thing really just to watch that match live. Right, everything else I can watch on delay later, replay later, whatever. I want to watch that match live and in the moment. I've been a big AJ Styles fan since the day of them being on FS1 at 1:00 in the morning, right? And I, followed John's career, obviously. And so for me, this is just letting two guys that are absolutely great go out and wrestle. If you looked at John's farewell tour after getting his ass whooped by Brock, yeah, he probably needs a win here, right? AJ's got his own thing. AJ losing to John's not going to hurt him with this whole Dragon Lee go for the titles thing that they're doing, right? That's not going to hurt one way or the other. I wish from a build, we got this when it was John and Randy, because this is phenomenal. This is great. This is everything I wanted from John and Randy happening with John and AJ, and I love it. And so I don't give a damn who wins. We win. Screw it. We win.
You're right. You're absolutely right. Yeah, I guess I liked that they went for the dynamic of the complete opposite of what they ever had when it came to John and Randy, which was the reverse roles. Everything was always heel Randy, face Cena. So in terms of just seeing something different, I'm okay with that. In this instance, yes, I agree with John getting squashed. You don't want it to look like he's losing steam at the end of this by having him lose again. So I do think he should get the win here. It also evens their score, right? So I think in one-on-one matchups, I think AJ's up 2-1 if I'm correct. So this is like a way that you can kind of even the score on two guys who are going to be WWE Hall of Famers who can go out there and put up an incredible match. I don't know what's in store for AJ Styles going forward. I don't know how long he's going to stay under contract. I don't know if he's going to take a year or two and go to AEW just to get a couple of those dream matches under his belt. If that's what he wants to do, by all means, he deserves it. I don't know how much is left for him to do in WWE. So most of that kind of Edge, Adam Copeland situation. So, but there was this left, that one last time to get in there and beat up John Cena. And I think that this is going to be a winning performance by both of these guys, regardless of who wins. But I'm going to pick John Cena.
I don't want to dwell on it too much, but something to think about. You said it wonderfully. John losing steam at the end, right? You don't want it to look like John losing steam at the end, when in reality, you almost kind of want it to. Because then when he goes into that last match, it's, well, how much does John really have in the tank? Can he keep up with these young guys? Like, there's all that story, especially if he's doing something like Dom, like Gunther. That lets them have that ammunition to start challenging and attacking John in these promos, knowing that John's not going to be around. You'll have that losing streak already established, and it'll take us right into that last match. So like I said, I don't want to dwell on it, but you said it. I had the thought. It's a beautiful transition if you're going to pick somebody that John doesn't have a lot of history with.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. And I think now it's just I just want to see what's going to happen with AJ. And I think that, again, you're not wrong in what you say in that having him have to come from behind isn't the worst idea in the world. But that being said, I don't want that at the end of this. I think having John do as well as he has done, and then to just have it, have the bottom fall out would almost seem kind of suddenly. It just seems a little off to me, right? Like I have no problem with Brock being like the guy to get it done and give him an adversary that he has to overcome big time. But I don't think it means that he's got to fall off a cliff at the end of this. But I understand where your premise is.
One thing I would add, I would open with this match. 100%.
Yeah, do that so I can go back to bed.
There you go. I'm doing you a favor. Yeah, there you go. But the crowd is going to be the most energetic at the beginning. It's at 8 a.m.
Oh, I love it. Beautiful.
Oh, I'm gonna have my coffee.
Speak for yourselves. It's 7 a.m.
Listen, I got to go to Greek Festival, and I'm excited to do that. But if I can get at least this match out of the way at 9 a.m. while, like Eric said, while I'm drinking my coffee,
I gotta work.
I'm good. Well, that's on you. I don't know what to tell you.
But yeah, I would open with this match. I really would. It's gonna set the tone for the rest of the show.
Yeah, I think it really will. Obviously, we're going for another title match here as we get Tiffany Stratton versus Stephanie Vaquer. I think this has to be Stephanie Vaquer's moment. I'm starting to get off of the Tiffany train, not because I don't think she's an amazing talent, but there is more development that needs to happen there, and I do believe I need to see somebody else with the opportunity to carry the banner while that development happens. I think a chase for her or a heel turn for her would be what's best for the character. But as is now, it's just not working for me.
You're talking about Tiffany, right?
Talking about Tiffany, yeah. But for me, Stephanie, I think Stephanie's one of the best women's wrestlers in the world. I think it's phenomenal. Very thankful that they gave her this opportunity finally. It's a shame that it came at the expense of Naomi and her situation, although I guess that's a blessing for her. But we are where we are now. Stephanie's taking the ball and she's moving it forward. I think it's a great person to do that. It's a fresh face. And I think that you have her get the win over here. I might be fully off the Tiffany Stratton, Tiffy time bandwagon if she gets the win here against Stephanie Vaquer.
The only way I'm okay with Tiffany getting the win here is if it's not done cleanly, because
like a heel turn or something. Or
no, somebody attacking Stephanie realistically. Because if we think about it, here's why though. Here's why, and it's again, you have to look at the situation of how Stephanie got the title and everything like that, right? Winning at WrestlePalooza and then not really doing anything post, going straight into this champion versus champion bit that they've done. You come out of this, you come back to the States on Monday. Oh, I'm sorry, you're still in Australia on Monday. You go to that show on Monday. What do you have set up for Stephanie? You don't have anything, right? And I think you almost want to come out of this with something set up. And if you have Tiffany win via disqualification, or I'm sorry, not via disqualification, via heel tactics per se, I think you can start transitioning her into a heel more.
Yeah, I bring up good points. There's really not many contenders on Raw or anything set up for that matter, and it's an opportunity to set that up. Maybe it's Asuka. Maybe Asuka decides she wants to go after the title. Maybe it's somebody else.
Keep in mind, otherwise, I have Stephanie beating the brakes off of this chick.
Yeah, I think Stephanie could dominate this match and then still lose. But I'm kind of in a toss up. I could see it going either way. But because I do think that the powers that be are still like Tiffany Stratton, and it shows because she's still champion. I think if they weren't high on her, she'd already lost the title. So, but I agree with you, Chrome. I think the biggest mistake of this run was turning her face to begin with, and I get why, because they put her with Charlotte Flair, and Charlotte Flair was getting booed out of buildings when she first came back after the Royal Rumble. So clearly, it was only a foregone conclusion.
Tiffany was a face before that. It was Tiffany's turn on Nia that people ate up, right? Because Nia was kind of putting her down, even though Tiffany was Miss Money in the Bank and this, that, and the other thing. And so it was the underdog, quote unquote, underdog story there that people got behind. And then you take that into the build for WrestleMania with Charlotte, and people were sick that Charlotte won the Royal Rumble. They weren't Tiffany fans per se. They were just over the fact that Charlotte won. So this whole thing, Tiffany's never really stood on her own merit. Now for the last few months, she's had to, right? She's had to stand on her own merit and her own character. And what the fuck was that? Everybody's realizing that, hey, you know what? This chick just ain't really it anymore. She's a catchphrase and a moonsault.
I think for me, though, I don't need Crown Jewel to be a table setter. For me personally, there are plenty of women on that roster. They're already what is next for Becky Lynch? She walked up, said, I'm not going. Is Becky Lynch the person that ends up emerging and going after this title? Does her downward spiral continue where she steps up thinking, I'm the IC champion, I deserve this, and then she ends up losing in a feud of that, and you go through this whole interperspective thing with her? You have Roxanne Perez, I think, is somebody who absolutely, we've seen these two compete before, could have a phenomenal program together. They both can talk. There's
another one.
Asuka's one that's out there, obviously.
Yeah, even Raquel, she's been getting some wins. They've really, between her and Roxanne, I mean, they've beat Lyra several times over the last month. So, I mean, there's definitely.
Yeah, I think there are contenders. There's a lot of contenders on Raw for Stephanie, right? But the only reason I said that, and I should have prefaced with, I think Stephanie's going to beat the brakes off of Tiffany. However, if Tiffany is going to win, it's not going to be of her own accord. It's not going to be because she beat Stephanie clean.
I think if that's the case, you might.
Myself?
I think if it's that, you might end up getting like a Becky Lynch or something like that.
Could.
So then, obviously, we have what else am I missing here, boys?
Roman.
I got the list here: Roman, Bronson Reed, Australian street fight.
Whatever that is.
It's a street fight in Australia. Paul Heyman made this thing seem like it was the greatest thing in the world, a match we have never heard of before. And then he looks dead at the camera, gets real close, and goes, "An Australian street fight." The fuck,
Ladies and gentlemen.
So wait, okay, so I think Roman went over in the last match, right?
He did.
yeah.
Okay.
But then after is when him and or Bronson and Bron put him on the stretcher, and they sold that really well too. Where he's never his father, his grandfather never got taken out on a stretcher, but Roman did. And I really like this promo. This was really good.
I think it's one of their best ones that they've done in a while.
Yeah,
Agreed.
I think it shows the chops of Bronson Reed as well. Like. And he's so believable. We talked about it before, Chrome. He just looks like a mean, nasty, traditional 80s heel, like Bam Bam Bigelow. Like he's just different.
Speaking of mean and nasty, Chrome, lean back again. Look at this evil son of a bitch. Out there like some master manipulator.
Master.
Shockmaster.
Yeah, there you go. Shockmaster. But I do think I'm glad they put a stipulation on this because we're getting it again. So I don't know what it my heart thinks Roman's gonna win, but I would love to see Bron interfere and help him out. I mean, a street fight, it kind of allows you to, do what, no disqualification. So I mean, I find it hard to wrap it around my head that Roman would lose, but I don't know. I just think it's kind of one of the things where I talked about at the beginning, the predictability of not only this show, but the recent stories where there's been a lot of predictability. It would just be nice to see one of these young guys get a win over a huge star. But I don't know if this is the time or not, if they're gonna do it or not. But
I did laugh at WWE's playlist, WWE's YouTube page, where it had they do the top 10s, and it had Roman Reigns' top 10 returns. And almost all of them are from it's from the last. You remember every 3 weeks it was Roman Reigns returns this week. Roman Reigns returns this week, and it's like
it was this week too.
I know.
Was he gonna and then what's gonna happen? He's gonna go out again. If he gets beat up again and he's out because Survivor Series isn't for another six weeks or so. So
7 weeks.
Is he gonna get stretchered out or laid up again?
Yeah, I'm going Bronson in this match. I think Bronson gets the win.
I think Bronson gets the win too, especially if Bronson's going to stick around. I'm not going to like it, right? I don't know why. I think Bronson Reed does a phenomenal job. I don't know. Couldn't answer it, but I'm not waking up for this match. If I hear that this match is opening, call me when it's AJ John.
I think I read something, and I don't know this, but I read that this is main eventing. I don't know how true that was.
That's man. There's no way.
But
Where do you get your info?
Somewhere I don't know.com.
Throw it out.
Yeah, this is that would be an epic failure of a pay-per-view for PLE if this was the main. And it's no disrespect to their performers.
The rage I would have.
But you have John Cena and AJ. I can make an excuse for that to main event if it's not going to open.
The rage.
Yeah, there's no chance. No chance.
Don't shoot the sword. Don't shoot the messenger, please. Don't
Too bad.
Don't shoot the
Too late.
messenger.
Who do you got? So you have Roman in this one, Eric?
Yeah, I'm gonna go Roman, but I think Bronson should win. I think it's a great opportunity to start setting up, planting the seeds for Bron and Roman. But I think Roman's gonna win, but I would love to see Bronson win. I would love to see that.
Yeah, I mean, to what you just said, real quick, I think the intention was to get to Bronson or Bron and Roman. I just think this whole tribal thief thing fell in their laps, and Bronson Reed has just blown up from this whole thing that they're going with.
Yeah.
And rightfully so, smartly so. What else we got here, Andy?
We've got Rhea Ripley and Io Sky versus the Kabuki Warriors.
Is that the last match?
It's the last match.
Okay. Love the storyline so far. That's all I really have to say about it. I think Asuka's been tremendous. Kairi's been awesome, by the way.
Kairi!
Yeah, he's done a really good job here.
I love Io, and I don't know what it is. I'm like really into this match or this whole storyline going on, and Rhea's inclusion and not having to have Rhea in the main event for a short period of time. I think is beneficial for her because I think not just me, most people were getting Rhea fatigue of being basically the only constant main eventer. So kind of removing her and Io and giving them something to go to the side while Stephanie gets an opportunity to get her title run going, I think is a smart move. I think the Kabuki Warriors get the win in this, though. I think something happens. Yeah, something somehow happens. Misting, whatever it is. And maybe this creates a dissension between Io and Rhea at some point as well, and we get back to that. But I'm going Kabuki Warriors in this one.
If this was in any other country, I'd go Kabuki Warriors.
Mm.
It's in Australia. That Rhea's God there. I gotta go Rhea Io. For that reason alone. I agree with you on every other aspect, but it's 100% location and wanting to send people home happy.
I'm gonna stick with Kabuki Warriors because I think the way the story's been playing out is Kairi has been reminding Io of family. And I think there's going to be some point in the match where Io's going to be going for the finish and something in her head's going to be like, I don't want to do this to my family. And it's going to distract her and it's going to cost her the match. And I think that's where I think it's going to, that's where I see it going. Because I think this Asuka run has been really, really strong. And kind of what we talked about with challengers for the world title, I think Asuka's a perfect next opponent for Stephanie. So I think I think it's a good way to catapult Asuka into that next story, to go for the title.
I think there's something we have to keep in mind here too. Rhea is not the only Australian wrestler on this card.
Correct.
Oh, we got Bronson.
We have Bronson Reed, so I think we could get that same effect if Bronson Reed gets a W.
I disagree.
But here's if this was the closing of the show, maybe I would agree with you. But this is not. This is going to be a mid. This is. I don't want to say this because
my website said last.
It's going to be like that third slot, right? It's going to cut the show up.
This is correct, and I hate saying that because it's such phenomenal talent. Rhea Ripley is arguably the biggest talent in WWE, but this is not intended to. So I just think you get that just from the entrance alone, and win or lose in those countries, they'll get the standing ovation and the huge applause on their way out the door. They'll still hit the music. And you'll get something massive for them anyway. So I just don't think you need it in this instance.
And I could be very, like I said, if it was anywhere else, I would say Kabuki Warriors because I think it fits here. But
didn't Drew lose to Roman in Scotland and still got a hero's homage?
Oh yeah, and what's his face came out there with him, the boxer.
Yeah,
and they sang when it was over, which was ridiculous.
That was dumb.
So yeah, Listen, people lose in their hometowns all the time. I get what you're saying, Andy. It could happen. I just don't think it makes sense for them, to be honest with you. Unless what Eric said is on the flip, and then somehow it's Kairi who can't pull the trigger, costs them the match, and then Asuka turns on her.
That could be too.
Maybe
Yeah.
you get that. Maybe, and then eventually, maybe somehow we end up in a triple threat amongst those three.
I would like that.
So I'm gonna stick with Kabuki Warriors, but I'm almost sold to go that route for that finish. But yeah, it should be a really exciting card, really fun card. Tonight, by the way, boys, we have another exciting card, I think, for NXT and TNA to get together for NXT Showdown. The return of the traditional Survivor Series match. I'm going to be like, yes, son, let's go. It's long overdue. We've talked about this before, Eric. I know even with Andy, we've talked about this ad nauseum, how it's a lost art. I don't understand, even with War Games included, why you can't have one of these matches on your Survivor Series card to keep the tradition alive.
Right.
But I love to see it. Do you guys feel like maybe this is let's test it out in the modern wrestling market and see how people receive it? Or if it works, maybe we'll include it in the next Survivor Series coming up?
No, I think this is, hey, we took War Games from NXT. We're going to give you guys Survivor Series matches.
That's a fair point. Eric, do you agree, disagree with Andy? Do you agree with me? What do you think? Something different?
I think in the Vince McMahon era, it'd be no. But this era, with Triple H running things, I mean, anything's possible. I do think, though, with any good event, and I enjoyed Survivor Series when I was a kid, but I always, going into those matches, there was always feuds with each person in those matches, right? So if the Ultimate Warrior was on one side, Ravishing Rick Rude was on the other, and vice versa, and Hulk Hogan and whoever he was feuding with. I just think that now the feuds are so quick that it'd be more challenging to get those Survivor Series matches together in the modern era. But I think for NXT and TNA, I think it's perfect because it's two different companies going against each other, and you got your four best. So I think it's a little easier to do it that way. But I think now, could it work? Sure. But I think also there needs to be more patience in the storylines and keeping those feuds going, and not just going week to week or month to month. I think they've gotten better in the Triple H era doing that, but I think there has to be a cause for each person why this person's on that team.
See, I don't, because the premise of the Survivor Series had nothing to do with any of that. It was heels versus face. And they created stories a lot of times within the match, much as they do with Royal Rumble. I mean, you had Kevin Nash Diesel's face turn come from the Survivor Series in '94 when Shawn super kicked him in the face. And then he ended up chasing Shawn backstage, and then the whole team chased him, and the whole team gets counted out. So you can build new stories and new stars and new rivalries through this match. I just think it's a lost art, and it became maybe what you're saying, Eric, is the mentality that they've had. But if you look at it as a this is the season we start going into Rumble, and it's like, to me, Survivor Series is almost the kickoff to the next season, to where, yeah, you could start building those rivalries, planting those seeds, even if you don't get a payoff the Monday or the Tuesday or the Friday after. You could always jump back. They have great video packages. They have a great video team. They can go back and pull a clip 3 months before when these two had some kind of an issue in a match where it's now resurfacing. Even if you do it for simple 5 SmackDown and 5 Raw, go against each other for brand supremacy in that match.
And I think we're getting a little off base here because, we're trying to stay NXT, TNA, and everything like that. I think, though, when it comes to the Survivor Series style match, it's okay for it to be on NXT. I think you gave it to them after you took away War Games, which was becoming their fall classic, for lack of a better phrase. And so now, where storylines don't matter in the Survivor Series match. To Chrome's point, you can build off of this. And I said this, Chrome, I don't know if I said it in the group chat I was with you or if I said it to Pete and Butters or what. I said that I would like to see this to be the beginning of the storyline of the quote unquote invasion storyline between NXT and TNA, and let this build to maybe a different pay-per-view down the line where we see a culmination of it. I want this to start things off. So there doesn't need to be any bad, rivalries back and forth or programs back and forth here. I think you're going to build that throughout the results of this match. Having Kalani Jordan, an NXT superstar, as the captain of the TNA team for the women, while yes, she is their champion, we didn't do that for Trick on the NXT side, right? And so I think that you're going to start trying to lay this foundation for maybe something bigger on a TNA pay-per-view down the line, and really start as we go into this big season of Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, Bound for Glory, all these big events that are coming up for both companies, both brands. You're going to start seeing more of these inter-promotional matches, these inter-company matches, and really leaning into that integration and that partnership between the two. I mean, you're having a winner-take-all match for your tag team titles tonight, right? So that in of itself is lending to a fusion of the titles between the two brands. Start working the two together to where they're on. It's almost like the AEW Ring of Honor thing where you integrated those two, but I think they're going to do it differently with TNA, because TNA is not losing their TV deal. TNA is still going to have their program to go showcase their product. So when it comes to Survivor Series tag team matches, I think this is a great way to catapult that. Plus, you also have the factors of Joe Hendry, who, while is still a TNA signed superstar, it's very heavily rumored that he's going to become a WWE signed superstar as early as first quarter 2026. And then you have Jordan Grace, who laid the foundation for not only this partnership, but also the new version of TNA that we now see, who's also now a WWE superstar. So you have a lot of variables when you're going into tonight, and a lot of different things that can play out from it. I think the least of it is the actual match type that we're in here. I think it's more so going to be these dynamics. Can all these people work together? But then two, what storylines spawn off of this? Who's going to want to go after JC James' title? Who's going to want to go after Sol Ruka's title? After Kalani Jordan's, Ricky Saints, Trick Williams, even Frankie Kazarian and Leon Slater as champ. You've got a lot of your champions. And now, the Inspiration's now the tag team champions on the TNA side. So you have all your eggs in two different baskets tonight between the men and the women's. You got a lot you can take from this.
Is it a missed opportunity that Jordan Grace and Joe Hendry are not on either team?
No. I think they played it so intelligently, because of what both companies mean to both superstars right now. I think putting them as a special guest referee, you allow for there to be a little bit of chaos, which is okay in a Survivor Series match. I think you allow for it to have a little bit of leniency, but also be called down the middle. And then it allows those two to still be relevant and maybe even get their own kind of feud out of this. Because like I said, you've got both of your men's champions, both of your women's champions, your secondary women's title, 2 secondary titles for TNA, and you've got your women's tag titles. There's a lot that you can do here.
Do you think that having the TNA titles on NXT Superstars is hurting TNA?
No. I think it's forcing TNA stars out of their comfort zone, because they were kind of, not that they had a bad product before, but they were just kind of complacent. They were just kind of stuck. And now I think you bring in this fresh talent without having to pay for the fresh talent, and you're getting some of the best work out of some of these people in a long time. And you've taken somebody like a Joe Hendry, who is over like Rover and moved him into like this weird limbo spot. You put the title on Trick Williams, who is an NXT guy, so he's already the enemy. And now you've been able to have somebody like Mike Santana, who was always unwillingly and unintentionally living in Joe Hendry's shadow. He's now come out of everything and is the top guy over there. And you've been able to elevate Kalani Jordan, and you're bringing Jesse and Cassie back into the fray. And there's so many different things at play.
A couple of things here. Bringing up them being the special guest referee. The other element, all the elements you said are absolutely correct. The other element is there's an unpredictability because they have built this up of whose side are they on. Which what I didn't like, I was cool with Joe Hendry's promo and all this past week.
Mm-hmm.
What I did not like was Jordan Grace going to Kalani Jordan and saying, I liked the open, like this title has a really prestigious history and respected and blah, blah, blah. But then her advocating to be on Team TNA was a little bit weird to me. Because I didn't think that spot was right, but I digress. But
I don't think that was the plan either, like of the original plan, because Ash got hurt.
Right, but it just got very weird. So to jump forward though, when you asked about is this hurting TNA, 100% no. A lot of what Andy said is 100% spot on. You had your title featured at WrestleMania in a match against an absolute legend, a top 10 possible wrestler of all time in Randy Orton. 100% they benefited from that. When the talent comes out, someone like a Moose, who last year and this year has reiterated this fact in multiple interviews, that this relationship has been so much more beneficial than anything that AEW did. When Tony Khan and Tony Schiavone went on every week and really just paid to make fun of them on their own program. And then they had the belt collector, Kenny Omega, basically go in there and run roughshod, and their own talent just take over the show for all intents and purposes. It has been so much better. Then on top of it.
But besides Mike Santana, who else have they built in the singles besides Trick?
Let me finish. Let me finish.
I'm sorry. My fault.
Real quick. No, I'll get to that because I was going to jump on the talent that's been featured as well. The other thing is, I don't know if you guys saw Carlos Silva, the owner of TNA, came out and had an interview this past week where, so this guy is a known entrepreneur who comes in, is a fixer, and then sells businesses at the right time, who has made it clear he is open to selling this company. But what he is doing now, he specifically said, the attention this company is getting, their viewership is going up, their talent is being featured and exposed, and it's making their quality of their show so much better because a lot of their talent now has the ability to go to the Performance Center and develop there, which is something that TNA cannot offer their talent. And on top of it, it's about sponsorship and ad revenue. And that's something that they are starting to see a growth in. Something they never saw a growth in.
Yep.
And if you have to get the rub off of somebody else to get yourself over, right? It's a business of professional wrestling. Often you need somebody to put you over. And that's what you're seeing now with WWE, who has featured them so much better. And yes, there's a lot of their talent, I think, that's been featured, whether it's talent who recently left there that has come to the WWE and NXT, or it's talent that NXT currently has now. They have had them featured on their show, and they have put over the company over and over that this is somebody who's with us now that came from TNA, or this is somebody who's coming from TNA and working over here. It's been, I mean, at the end of the day, who's the big company? So, of course, they're going to get over more than they're not. But they have done an excellent job at featuring TNA. And they're going to win one of these matches tonight, TNA.
100%.
Guarantee.
They better.
I don't see a way at all. And obviously, yeah, like Kalani was not expected to be the champion there, but I don't think I don't know who they had that they felt like was ready for it.
I get that, but then like that's why you need to have your own talent ready to go. Like you can't keep depending on NXT talent to
But I
take
don't.
these titles.
But I think to what Chrome was saying there, right? The Ash thing was so out of left field, right? That Chrome just said the TNA talent's been able to go and perform at the Performance Center and hone their craft and get better. Whereas, and so, all right, your main champion just went down. While your talent is working on themselves, none of them are ready to put a title on. Yet here we go. We've got somebody that we can plug and play in there and will be a great champion for you. And also, Dynasty brings up the Masha stuff. You had Ash and Masha.
I was about to bring that up. Yep.
You can't go Tessa.
Right.
Right?
I mean, we're maybe Indy, but I don't know that Indy's ready for that spot yet.
I just, you know, I know it was last minute, but it's like, it feels like 2001 Invasion where you have people on other sides playing for the other team. And it just feels like this match could be better if you utilize straight NXT versus straight TNA.
No, screw that. That's what made Invasion the best, though.
Agreed. I agree.
Is because we had talent that had WCW and ECW ties working for WWE, and you had WWE guys that had WCW and ECW ties working for the Coalition. That's what made it special, and that's what made it fun. Without shoving it down our throats. With this,
I don't agree with 2000 with that assessment of 2001, but I mean it's
good
because I think
doesn't matter if you agree or not.
Right? I know, but I think
to the other point of that, Eric, you have to remember, you might have gotten what you asked for if Hogan, Flair,
if they
Nash, all these guys didn't have the ability to sit at home on their ass and collect their paychecks.
Right, I know, but I think they rushed. I think they rushed it then.
I don't think they did. I don't think they could have waited at that moment.
They
had
capitalized
to do it
while the iron was. They struck while the iron was hot.
Yeah,
the fact that we didn't jump right in to TNA versus NXT the day that it was announced there was a partnership is borderline the biggest screw up that you could say through this whole partnership. And it's a long stretch of a comment, right? Because I think it's happening. I miss him so much. But it's so far removed from a true legitimate gripe. You go back to 2000, and I can do a whole show on 2001, right? That's another story for another time. But this right now, this moment here, with what we're getting for NXT TNA Showdown in about, 45 minutes, right, is the best way they could have produced it without having some long, drawn-out 6-month BS invasion back and forth that culminates to nothing. I think this is a great way to kick off that true, hey, we're here, we're not going away kind of deal. You may have beat us in this moment, but you're not going to beat us at Bound for Glory. You're not going to beat us at Stand and Deliver. You're not going to beat us. You're not going to beat us. You're not going to beat us. And it's both sides talking.
Yeah, and quick point on 2001 and then going up to this point. In 2001, when that happened, where Vince appeared on WCW television, the clock started. The sand was the hourglass was turned over and the sand was running. You couldn't wait 6 to 8 months or 9 months or 10 months for Kevin Nash and all these guys to get off their asses. You just couldn't do that. They had to go with what they had, which you still ended up building stars out of that. Guys who were Hall of Famers at the end of the day. RVD game. I know he was already WWE, but I think in that storyline it became a whole next level. He was the face of the ECW brand when it did work for the first 5 months when Paul was running.
I think it elevated Booker.
Booker T is. Booker T's the.
Yeah, he's the guy. He's the guy that came out of that.
Yeah,
without a doubt.
So, but anyway, to go back to here, I think there's an aspect that we're not thinking about here. And it's why I brought up Carlos Silva's comments. It's that it's a true partnership. I don't think I honestly truly feel like both sides of this, because you hear about how TNA talent talks about how Shawn Michaels and everybody in WWE gives them advice, works with them. I don't think they look at this as like a separate partnership. I almost feel like they now believe like they are working under one umbrella. So yes, maybe Trick is holding the TNA title. At some point, I imagine somebody will from NXT or from TNA hold the North American title or the Speed title or whatever the hell it is, the tag team titles.
I truly think that somebody beats Ricky from TNA. Somebody beats Ricky for the title.
I think it'll be Joe Hendry eventually, and it might be right before the contract. But
I think it's right before, because we're going into Bound for Glory with NXT people holding the TNA titles. What's to say we're not going in to Stand and Deliver with TNA people?
Listen, there's no way Mike Santana's not walking out of Bound for Glory without that title.
I don't disagree, but somebody from TNA could be holding the NXT World title and the NXT Women's title going into Stand and Deliver, the biggest pay-per-view of NXT's year.
Sure.
And I think to make this more compelling, I think that needs to be that way, where you need to get TNA to win some of these feuds so that they are more legitimate, and it seems like it's an actual feud and not one-sided.
Well,
So
I think
that's my concern with this whole thing is you got these NXT guys with these titles, but when are you going to hopefully Santana comes out of this where he's the man in TNA, but it's like TNA I think is due to win some of these feuds, and I think we just haven't seen that yet.
Listen, and
that's my only objective. Like,
I get where you're coming
TNA
from.
needs the win tonight.
I get where you're coming from.
I think the women of TNA, when I looked at the two rosters stacked up when they chose their teammates, and this is not a knock to TNA, they are historically so good. But why does Kalani Jordan need to hold the title? Look at who's on her team. It's a tag team who are great. And they were great in WWE, and I think they've been just as good in TNA. And then
an NXT reject.
I don't want to say that. Jakara and Jack. I don't think they gave them enough time to continue.
But
her and Lash were pretty awesome together.
I don't disagree, but she hasn't really done anything since hitting TNA. Is my point.
She wouldn't get a sniff of this match if she was on the NXT roster.
I don't disagree with you.
No, I'm saying this just in general, which kind of shows you why we have the situation we are with who's handling the NXT Women's title right now. Or TNA Women's title, I'm sorry.
I don't disagree.
So I think it's gonna. So I got 1-1. Who do you guys think wins? Let's go with the men's match first.
I think NXT wins the men and TNA wins the women's match.
I think it's flipped. I think TNA takes the men's, and I think NXT, because what we just talked about, right? It's more believable for me that the NXT women beat the hell out of the TNA women, and it's almost a little bit more because Ricky Saints and Trick Williams aren't going to work on the same page here. I think everybody in TNA is just going to destroy them because you got too many egos on the NXT side.
Yeah, I think I lean on Andy's side on this.
The men winning.
I think that the NXT women win and the TNA men win. I think the this is Erickson.
The TNA women will win and the NXT men will lose. That's what Well, whatever.
So
I just had an aneurysm. The hell did he just say?
So you're saying both TNA teams will
No, the TNA women will win.
Okay, so you have it flipped in us then.
Yeah.
Okay, so Eric, you're gonna hate this part.
Yes.
Tonight I believe we have title for title, tag team titles. I do believe the Hardys drop the titles tonight.
No, I hate this too.
I believe that the Hardys. I know they've talked about making this about tag team titles, but the fact that I almost feel like they gave it away on TNA programming when they did the face-to-face between the Hardys and the Dudleys, and the Dudleys basically said, title sounds great, but this isn't about a title. If we win, we want you to, Hardys, and they both said basically the loser has to acknowledge the winners as the greatest of all time. Kind of tells me they don't need the titles for this and they know it.
Fair.
And it would not shock me if Dark State wins the tag team titles tonight.
Do you think there's any chance of 3D not interfering, but coming out and causing maybe a distraction?
Nah, because everybody's banned from ringside.
Oh, okay.
I'm just not a Dark State fan. I don't think I can't get behind it. It's just not for me, and so I'm going Hardy's just on pure principle of I don't like Dark State. It hasn't done anything for me. Like I think they were hoping that it would.
I think Dark State wins, and then we get the return at down the road, and the Hardys win.
Return of the return match.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You don't like to finish sentences, do you?
Nope. It's my allergies.
I don't know if it's going to be the Hardys.
What a
There's
jackass!
allergies, I tell you.
What a jackass!
Is my allergy.
Put it on a T-shirt.
Oh, good.
When in doubt, blame the allergies.
True. Let me see here exactly. So Chris Turner deals for everyone over $750. We wanted some money.
Look,
Ended up being...
I would love to do a talk about 2001.
Well, we're going to
Down
have
the
some
road.
time coming up. So maybe
we got 7
but I would
weeks.
just say one more thing. Like I disagree. I think they could have waited. I think they could have put it on the shelf and did it when everybody was ready to go. But we'll agree to disagree.
I don't think
Y'all
anybody
call
would
me.
have. I wouldn't have gave a shit by then.
You kidding me? With Hogan, Hall, and Nash, you wouldn't have cared?
Not with the way that they did it with Vince coming on television. And then Shane coming out and saying, "I now own the company." So you're basically telling storyline wise that business as usual is still running.
But they
So you
knew who
have
they
to-
had under contract. Like
Call me when you guys do that episode because I'm gonna hurt this man.
Yes, we got to do it.
I'm gonna hurt this.
I want
man
to.
right
I
here.
want to do. Listen, particularly because with Rumble coming up, there's a lot of breaks in between shows. We want to do like a John Cena appreciation show. We're going to do a special Survivor Series fantasy show, like a fantasy draft show. Let me say that because that sounded a little like
that was a little rough. Where's Roscoe?
But we're gonna do a lot of cool things. Maybe we'll add that one to the docket. And anybody listening out there, if there's any kind of show topic you would like for
Within
us to
appropriate reasons. I've met some
Correct.
of you.
Yes. If you could drop a great show idea, something we could talk about for anywhere between an hour to an hour and a half, we'll get a panel of people on. We'll go through them and we'll select some out, and we'll try to set up some special shows on top of some interview shows. I'm going to try to set up shortly as well. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a good show tonight. I'm excited.
Side note, real quick, Paige versus Ali for the NXT North.
Oh
American
yes,
Championship.
you know what? First of all, long-term storytelling. Love Ali coming back in like 2 years to the day, basically coming back and saying, "I earned this title, and this title opportunity, and I never got it, and I'm coming back for it." To me, that was a miss by WWE to let this man go. Should have never happened. He's been awesome in TNA. I would love to see him win this match, but he won't.
Right.
But Eric, if there was an opportunity, in my opinion, to put a title, but he's a former WWE talent. So how do you?
Yeah, I think too. It's tough. Just thinking about it, it's tough because like you said, TNA is the smaller company. They're the small fish, so it's tough to put them on an even playing field, and you kind of have to have those guys involved with it. But I think I'm just hopeful that TNA comes out of it stronger than it was when they first went in. That's kind of just my take on it.
I mean, I don't know how you can make an argument that they're not already. Like
That's true. It's true. There's
You know
more
what I mean?
exposure. I think the end game is, either they're a feeder to WWE or, or continue partnership. But I think because, me watching it from the beginning, it's kind of one of those like, one of those things. I just want them to succeed. I guess that's all.
Yeah, and I think we all do. And we'll wrap up on this comment here from Dynasty, and appreciate everybody who commented in. Says, what ifs are always good? Like, what if Shawn never lost his smile and does business for Brett at 13? He's 100% right. So many things in the business that what if this happened, and they didn't. And you know what? We got
lazy booking. ... What ifs?
What ifs, eh? We should do that. We should do a show about that. Take the biggest what ifs, the opposite happened, and think about how that would have changed the business. What a debate that would be.
What if Hogan didn't? What if Hogan wasn't the third man?
And
what if it was Sting?
That's a good one too.
Yeah,
it's a good one too. We'll have to see. We'll have to figure it out. But thank you guys, everybody who joined in, commented. Make sure on your way out from this video, if you could please give us a share, give us a like, a subscribe, follow, drop a comment in that you haven't yet. We'll go back and review them. And again, give us some show topics. Comment on this video. Give us some topics of things you want us to get on here, get a panel, and do a debate. We love to do that. And that's going to do it for us. Make sure you guys tune in this weekend for all of our shows. A2D and Dish night tonight. So Flyers Talk A2D is coming at you at 9 p.m. tonight. Make sure you guys jump into there. Lots of Eagles talk this week, Phillies playoff talk, all kinds of things going on.
What's left of it?
Oh.
You're not wrong, buddy. You're not wrong.
I got a guy at work who's a Dodgers fan. This has been unbearable.
I believe it. I believe it. But obviously, we got to show a little bit of love to our doctor, Dr. Paul Vidal. Thank him and his team for sponsoring the show. And Andy, appreciate you jumping on with myself and
thanks,
Eric.
Man.
Happy to be here, guys. I love telling Eric he's dumb.
Yeah, he's gonna come back and get you.
Eric's my new butters.
There he goes. Tear the shirt off. Give him Hulk up on him.
Well, I don't want to scare the audience.
We don't want to get thrown off the air.
No, this was great. Good conversation today, and we're gonna have a lot of good stuff coming up down the road. But so for myself, for Eric, for Andy, and everybody here at A2D Radio, have a great one. Take care of yourselves. Give somebody a hug. And Andy, what else?
Until next time, tell somebody you love them. Peace, love, and joy. We out.